What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages? Welcome to another Dtube book review here on the glorious STEEM blockchain and the Dtube. Actually, it's Dtube.network now. That's what I've been seeing a lot of. Big changes at Dtube. So be sure to check out their Discord and their blog here on Steam to see everything that's going on. It's exciting, and apparently they're going to be implementing... it looks like they're going to be implementing something called the Dtube coin. That's kind of the rumors. It's just a lot of stuff going on. So, anyways, check them out on Steam under Dtube. But let's dive in to the book review. The book review. I've been really crushing it. I might have to actually take a step back next week because, man, I've just been reading like. What's the word for it? Viciously? I mean, I've been reading like so much, and I'm trying to get a book done each and every week. I might take a break because I've absorbed a ton of information over the past month. I might take a break next week. We'll see how it goes. If not, I'll be back next week with another book review. This week I read The Potential Principle by Mark Sanborn. And Mark actually is a really cool author. He wrote this book a few years ago called The Fred Factor, which was, I really enjoyed it. And Mark, it was a real life story, really cool examples on, just personal development, success thinking, customer service, it was just an amazing story. But Mark writes books that are not very, this is probably why I'm actually able to read these books an entire week, because it's not a big book. It's 150 pages long, bite-sized chunks of information, but wrapped up with a nice little bow, and it's really useful information. It's funny, I'm reading all these books, and a lot of them, I mean, this is potential principle. The theme, let's say, of this book is to not be the best, be better. Because better is continuing to improve yourself. The potential principle. He calls it a proven system for closing the gap between how good you are and how good you could be. So it's not what I would call, what he says is you're not trying to be the best, because the best is kind of like, it's plateaued. You want to be better, because when you're trying to be better each and every day, you're actually growing. And that is the big takeaway from the book. And it's funny, like I was saying, I'm reading all these books, and it's amazing the nuggets I get that are like tied into my STEAM journey, and I think that could be tied into your STEAM journey as well. He talks about how important it is to engage others. There's an entire chapter called Engage Others. I mean, like, how many times has anybody here on the STEAM blockchain talked about the importance of engaging? So that's one of the how to improve yourself. But he has this thing called the potential matrix, which is pretty cool, and it's 4 quadrants. It's performing, learning, thinking, and reflecting. I want to make sure that. So he talks about how sometimes, like for me, for example, I'm really passionate about learning, but maybe I don't do enough thinking and reflecting, or maybe my performance isn't where it needs to be. And he says that instead of being a jack of all trades, it's good to have a balance in this, but you should really concentrate on where you're lacking to bring that up. He says that you don't need to be perfect in all, because it will compensate for each other, but he says that you should work on each part of this matrix. So performing is obviously what you're putting out into the market. Are you putting value out? The big chapter I loved was the learning chapter. Obviously, he talks about continuous learning, how to get better, how to raise your potential through learning. Also, the thinking chapter, he talks about how it's really important to have some quiet time each and every day to think. He said, like, something he does is when he wrote his books, he wrote Fred Factor and this one, The Potential Principle, right there. The lighting is bad. It's too... That's it right there. He talked about how when he wrote this book, how he thought of it and how his thinking was cleared was he went to a local coffee shop. He wrote his book sitting drinking coffee at a coffee shop, which was right up my alley too. And then finally the reflecting. So the reflecting is like introspective kind of look at. So it's another step, he calls it. Instead of just thinking, you really need to reflect on the ideas you're processing, and really workable. The first part of the book is talking about this matrix and workable action steps on how you can really start taking charge of your potential, and then the second half of the book is tips and tricks like engaging others, disrupting yourself, which was really tied into The End of Procrastination, which I read a couple of weeks ago, which was really cool. It was kind of like the same message, just in a different package. So disrupting yourself, and I'm just making sure I talk about everything I want to talk about, refocusing, and then finally the reason why, like what matters. What really matters is how he closed the book. And to me, that is the big message. Is he talks about being better, not the best, but to me, it's got to be, you've got to have fuel, right? You've got to have fuel to want your potential to rise, or the end of procrastination, like the book that we talked about a few weeks ago. You really need to have a solid foundation, a reason why you're doing this, what matters to you. That's kind of your fuel. That's the fuel that keeps you growing, that keeps you trying to become better. And I love that he ended the book with that. It was definitely kind of a nice finish and wrap to a very. It's a short book. Again, you could, if you're a reader like me, you could probably get through this in about 2-3 hours. 150 pages, doesn't take a long time to read, but really good, useful information. I love books that cut to the chase. I don't want to read a 500-page book about how to raise your potential. Give it to me in a small. I gotta work on this lighting. This is the white of is really shiny, so I'm trying to not get the glare going. Maybe one of you Dtube daily guys could help me out on that. Captain Bob, tell me how to get rid of that glare. I'm sure there's some way to do it. But I don't need the 500-page book to tell me how to raise my potential. Excuse me. I need it in a short, actionable book that I can take notes. I took a ton of notes on my phone. I took a ton of notes writing it down. Jam-packed with notes. I mean, there's more notes. just tons of useful information. So I really did enjoy this. I love books. I can't stress this enough. I love books that you're not put to sleep reading. Actionable steps. Give me the actionable steps. Give me the stuff that I can use right now. I can put into action. And it was really good. Really good. So it's just a great book. And Mark Sanborn, really cool author. Check out The Fred Factor too. If you're not familiar with him, he wrote The Fred Factor a couple of years ago. He wrote another one too. He's an author of 8 books. Wow, there you go. I didn't know. He's got other books out. Fred Factor is the one I read. But really cool author, Mark Sanborn, and The Potential Principle, a proven system for closing the gap between how good you are and how good you can be. Really useful information too for STEAM content creators. Really cool ways to increase your potential. So hope you guys enjoyed the book review. Leave your comments below. Please do let me know what you thought of the review, what you think of the book, if you've read it, any other books by Mark that you may have read. I'd love to hear from that. And of course, all recommendations. I don't know if I'm going to do a book review next week, but I'm obviously going to be reading throughout the week. But I think I want to calm down on the book reviews because I literally have four or five now back weeks of Dtube book reviews. That's a lot of content that I kind of got to absorb. And as the potential principle talks about, I need to reflect on all the information that I've absorbed over the past month. So hope you guys enjoyed the book review. If I do bang through a book, it will be because I'm really into it. But I'm not going to try to push myself too much because I think it's good to reflect. You got to have time to reflect. So anyways, hope you have a great weekend. I'll see you guys tomorrow night for another blog post. Thank you guys for all your comments, your upvotes, and my computer screen just went blank. Anyways, toodles. Have a good weekend, guys.